sing about faith this morning. It goes like this. Faith is the key to joy. Faith is the key to joy. Faith is the key to joy. Victory only comes from faith. Yeah, just like that. Faith is the key to joy. Faith is the key to joy. Faith is the key to joy. Victory only comes from faith. Faith is the key to joy. Faith is the key to joy. Faith is the key to joy. Victory only comes from faith. One more time. Faith is the key to joy. And you know that. Faith is the key to joy. I know that. Faith is the key to joy. We know that. Victory only comes from faith. Victory only comes from faith. Victory always comes from faith. Yeah, just like that. And because it's the first Sunday in Advent, we're going to sing one of our favorite openers, which is O Come, Emmanuel, with a little bit of a twist. We're going to give a shout out to Full Moon Eye for giving us this arrangement. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and cause us in the ways to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, these nations find, all peoples in one high line. Bid envy, strife, and quarrels cease. Fill the whole world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Shall come to thee, O Israel. Shall come to thee, O Israel. Shall come, shall come. Good morning and welcome to Columbine Spiritual Center. We're centered in God. We celebrate a world of harmony, peace, and abundance for all. Thanks so much, Rachel Harrison, for joining me on those wonderful sing-alongs. And I want to bring up my good friend Cindy Smith. I want to acknowledge George Laxon and Larry Thompson. The whole gang's in the house today, and I'm honored to be providing special music for you. This one's about recognizing the power of using your faith. With a New Orleans beat. not see it yet, but I know it's coming. I may not feel it yet, but I know it's there. I may not hear it yet, but I know it's calling, saying, trust in love's promise, and you're halfway there. Oh, trust in love's promise, and you're halfway there. I may not be it yet, but I know it's working. I may not have it yet, but I know it's mine. I may not hold it yet, but I know I will. Did you say trust in love's promise, and you're halfway there? Oh, trust in love's promise, and you're halfway there. The promise, if I have faith, ooh, even the faith of a mustard seed, yeah, that I can move in the mountain, open any door. Whoa, whoa, love's going to pour out its peace until the world is me. Give me the strength to carry out its will. I may not know it yet, but I know I'll make it. I may not do it yet, but I'm on my way. I may not get it yet, so I'll keep on listening as you say, trust in love's promise, and you're halfway there. Oh, trust in love's promise, and you're halfway there. Yeah, trust in love's promise, and we're all the way there. You can clap along if you'd like to at home. Something like this. Woo! Trust in love's promise, and we're all the way there. Trust in love's promise, and we're all the way there. Trust in love's promise, and we're all the way there. Trust in love's promise, and we're all the way there. And now let's pray.
And that's how you do it.
We needed that today.
Thank you. And I didn't get the purple memo today, but that's okay. It is the first Sunday of Advent, and we're going to light our Christ candle, as well as light our first candle on our Advent wreath. This year we brought out our Advent wreath. I know it's a radical year, so we don't have the traditional pink candles and pink and purple candles, but everything is different this year, so we're taking liberties. So would you join me in prayer? So I invite you to take that deep, cleansing breath, gently close your eyes, and turn within. Go to that place of knowing your divine nature, your divine, beautiful essence. It takes faith. It takes faith to go to that place. It takes faith to know who we truly are. It takes faith to see through a spiritual lens and see the world not as the world wants us to see it, but as Spirit wants us to see it in all its beauty, in all its glory, and the whole big picture working together to bring us to a state of oneness, a state of peace, a state of love. And so, sweet Spirit, we take this moment to come to that place, with eyes of faith, with eyes that know that all is working for its highest good, even when it doesn't look like that with our physical eyes. We know when we look out into the world, we see a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of suffering, a lot of health challenge, economic challenges, racial challenges, and we can have heavy hearts. We can have very heavy hearts, but we can also look at the world through eyes of faith, through eyes of knowing that there's more than what we are seeing, that Spirit is here with us, that God is here and God's got this. We don't know why things happen the way they do and why we tend to feel pain and hurt in these human lives. But we know that God is with us through it all, in every situation, in every circumstance. And so we are grateful whenever we can come to that place of knowing that we are Christ beings. We are. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much, Sue. This is a brand new song that I felt was really important at this time in our history, and it just so happens that it's also really fitting today for my family in California. So I'm sending this out to Jake and Alex, Joe, Irmgard, Jameson. It's your faith. Down about as far as I could go, been as lost as I could be. Caught inside a wave of pain and suffering, couldn't find my way to free. Till the day I gave up swimming against the tide, and I got down on my knees. Prayed for guidance, grace to reach the other shore. This is what you said to me. It's your faith that sees you through to the light inside of you, to my just like Jonah in the belly of the whale, just like Job's adversity, just like Moses wandering through the wilderness, crying, Lord, where can you be? Well, you might think your burden's much too great to bear, no solution you can see. But in the silence you will hear a still small voice saying, I am here with thee. Your faith that sees you through to the light inside of you, to my love that shines in you. Keep the faith, keep the faith. child, things will get brighter. You can sing that with me. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Right now, right now, right now, right now. 'Cause it's your faith that sees you through to the light here inside of you, to my love that shine. It's your faith that sees you through to the light here inside of you, to my love that shine in you, in you, in you, yeah, in you. Thank you so much.
Wow, Janice, that was beautiful. Another great Janice Kelly original song written just for us for today, for faith. And she had sent me the lyrics, but I hadn't heard the melody. It's beautiful. So thank you, Janice and Cindy, George and Larry as well. This week I've had a toothache. I've had a lot of tooth pain, and the side actually started in my ear. I had like an earache and jaw, and I thought it was there, and I thought it was related to my Invisalign that I've been doing for the last year. But I was curious. It was tolerable until Friday, of course, after the dentist's office was closed. And so I went to Louise Hay, which I usually do when there's some ailment, to just kind of see how that feels and what she says about certain ailments. And for teeth, it's funny, teeth, she says, represents our beliefs, which is totally like synchronistic with today's talk, because today we're talking about faith. And beliefs, of course, are related to our faith. And so in her book, You Can Heal Your Life, she says that a toothache or a root canal or any kind of tooth problem is because your beliefs aren't rooted in truth. And I thought, I wasn't sure if that resonated with me or not. I wasn't sure which beliefs could have not been rooted in truth, and so I sat with that for a while. And I'll get back to that a little more later on, but Advent, today's the first Sunday of Advent, and Advent means beginning. And during Advent, we prepare for that birth of a new awareness of our Christ nature. And in order to prepare, we look at certain attributes within us. And faith is the first one, because faith is so important to having faith is so important to being able to birth that awareness, in believing in things that we can't see. It's that first in getting prepared for that new truth. It's a necessary foundation. And I love that the power of faith, which we teach in Unity of our 12 powers, which are represented by one of each of the 12 disciples, that it's represented by Peter. Peter, who wavered and denied. And see, Peter represents that developing faith, which we all need to do. Develop our faith. Doesn't mean that we're always steadfast, that we're always true to our faith, but we're developing it. That we need love, really, to stay focused and stay identified with the Christ. And then we can come to this passage in Hebrews that says what faith is. It says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. We all have faith. We often hear people say, oh, I wish I had the faith like you had faith, or I wish I had more faith. But we all really have the same amount of faith. It's just maybe it's not as developed, or it's faith in different things. No one has more faith than the next person, but what are we putting our faith in? Are we putting our faith in our bank account? Are we putting our faith in our jobs, in our government, in our communities? Where is our faith being placed? Faith that's placed in truth, faith that's placed in oneness, faith that's placed in the innate goodness of everyone, the innate goodness of ourselves, is something that we can develop. It's something that we can and use that faith muscle to improve upon, to practice. And we need that to birth a new awareness of our Christ nature. And so one of the things we can do to practice this is to examine our beliefs, examine our belief system. Where are our beliefs? What are we believing in? Many times they're unconscious to us. And what beliefs are no longer serving us? What beliefs do we need to release? It's an important part of this process of examining our faith, of developing our faith, in order that we can come into this greater awareness of our spiritual nature. And then we can strengthen our faith. And I love this. Rachel had loaned me this book probably a year ago called Recovery, the Sacred Art by Rami Shapiro. And in it, I took several different phrases off over a couple pages. And he says this: faith is not the same as belief. Belief is about content. One believes in this or that. Faith is an attitude about life itself. Faith is a state of openness or trust. An attitude of faith is the very opposite of clinging to beliefs, of holding on. The attitude of faith is to let go and become open to truth, whatever it might turn out to be. Real faith requires the surrender of belief. Can you see the truth of that? Real faith means we don't hang on to those things that we believe are right, that we don't have to control everything, that we don't have to control our lives and stand in our beliefs are the right beliefs and those other people's beliefs are wrong. See, faith is about surrendering all of that, letting all of that go, and not needing to feel like we know better because it's our beliefs. And a perfect example of this, of somebody that hangs on to his own beliefs, is Jonah. Janice talked about Jonah in her song. She mentioned Jonah. And many of you know the story of Jonah. Jonah was a prophet. There's the book of Jonah in the Hebrew Scriptures. And he was a prophet, and he had been given divine guidance to go to Nineveh. But Jonah judged those people of Nineveh and said, no, they don't deserve my time. Anybody ever done that? You know, gotten some divine guidance, gotten something that you felt was yours to do and said, no, I know better. So instead of going to Nineveh, Jonah got on a ship. And as he got on this ship, which often happens to us when we don't do what's right, when we don't follow our own longing or our own guidance, he's in a storm. You know, we feel this turmoil often when we don't follow our own guidance. And so the other people on the ship are like, who brought this on us? Of course, you know, all thoughts. People represent thoughts in the Bible. And they all want to blame each other. Who's the one that brought this storm on us? We have to make a sacrifice in order to calm the storm. Don't we do that in our own minds? Think, what thoughts need to be sacrificed? Where did I go wrong? How do I fix this storm? How do I fix this turmoil? And so Jonah admits that it was he that didn't follow the word of God, that didn't follow his own divine guidance, and offers to be thrown into the sea so the rest of them could be saved. Of course, the other people in the ship say, no, 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 and they try everything they can, but with no luck to stop the storm, to calm the storm. And so they do throw Jonah overboard. And Jonah surrenders himself. He surrenders. And what happens when he's in that ocean, but a big fish, a big whale swallows him whole, and he's in the belly of the fish for 3 days. And then the fish spits him out on dry land. And so metaphysically, when we're feeling that turmoil, when we're feeling that, we surrender and we let go of our need to be right, of our need to do things our way, truth can then come and swallow us. It's not that we swallow truth, it swallows us. We become fully absorbed in it. And as we become fully absorbed, he's in that belly of the whale for 3 days. 3 metaphysically meaning the creation process, mind, idea, expression, where there's a transformation, where he realizes what is his to do. And then the fish spits him out onto dry land, new opportunities. And often when we have a transformation in consciousness, we are able then to see new opportunities. Now, it didn't necessarily change Jonah, his personality. He did go to Nineveh, but he didn't actually continue on this new way of being. But that's the Jonah in us. We want to hang on to what we think is right, not listen to our guidance, not trust God, not trust the Lord of our own being. You know, when I was young, maybe 6 or 7 years old, I don't know how my parents allowed this to happen, but I watched The Birds and I watched the movie Psycho. And as a result of seeing those 2 movies, and I don't remember how far apart they were, I had this extreme fear of the dark, of night, of opening a closet and thinking birds were going to come out at me and attack me, of taking a shower. And so it was maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago or so, where I said, enough of this. I had been living with these night terrors for a long time. And I started with my first experience with affirmations. And I'm not even sure what brought this on, or I wasn't in Unity at that time. I was in the Catholic Church. And I started with this affirmation: trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. And every time I felt afraid, I would say to myself, trust in the Lord. And at that time, probably to me, I don't really recall, trust in the Lord was probably trust in the Lord outside of me, who's going to come in and swoop down and save me if anything bad was going to happen in the night. But you know, I kept with that affirmation, trust in the Lord. I was curious just this week, and where did I hear that trust in the Lord? And so I went to my Bible and did a search. Trust in the Lord comes from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Isn't that beautiful? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord of your own being. Don't rely, as Jonah did, that I know better. Our own insights will get us into trouble and bring us to those storms in life and give us turmoil. But trust in the Lord, that Spirit, that God, that divine essence that is within us, that is always guiding us, waiting for us to tune in, to trust in it, to take action on that guidance. It can be a beautiful thing when we do this. I just finished a book that Melanie Piazza recommended to me called Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson. And it talks about, it's a lot of Megan Watterson's personal experiences, but the book talks about the gospel according to Mary Magdalene, of which 3 copies have been recovered in the late 1800s. 2 were in Greek and 1 was in Coptic, which is an Egyptian language. And it's interesting that all 3 copies that were recovered are missing the first 6 pages, so it starts on page 7, and it's missing 4 pages in the middle, right when Jesus is about to tell them how to do something. It's almost as if those pages are missing so that we rely on our own guidance. So we ask the question ourselves, how do we live a spiritual life? How do we see with eyes of faith? How do we see with eyes of love? I'm sure we'll be talking about this book more in future talks, but it was just fascinating to me that this gospel, according to Mary Magdalene, talks about the 7 egoic powers that we need to overcome in order to live a spiritual life. It's so true that we need to get over the ego things. We need to have faith that it's possible first. And Mary is one who had that faith, who had that love, who was able to see, have that vision. She was able to trust. But you have to have a certain maturity until you can get there. And another character in our Bible, in the Hebrew Scriptures, who had to have that maturity before coming to this spiritual awareness was Moses. Moses, as many of you know, grew up in Egypt. Moses learned things, got his worldly knowledge before he left Egypt. And it wasn't until after 40 years, metaphysically meaning as long as it takes for him to have matured enough to get a spiritual vision, to have a spiritual awareness. Moses, as Janice also talked about in her song, had the burning bush experience. And Megan Watterson, in her book, Mary Magdalene Revealed, talks about this burning bush experience in a way that I hadn't read before, that I hadn't realized before, that this burning bush experience is in us. It's not a burning bush outside of us that's on fire but not being consumed. That's the fire in us. That's the fire when we come into spiritual awareness, when we come to a place of faith, to a place of knowing. And that's what Moses did. He came to this place of knowing where he was on fire with God. He was on fire with his own spiritual awareness. And what did he do but introduce himself to that burning bush? He introduced himself, I'm Moses. And who are you? What can I say your name is? And the burning bush says, I am that I am. And don't you know to remove your shoes because you are standing on holy ground. We are standing on holy ground whenever we're in that, on fire with God, on fire with our own spiritual awareness. We want to remove our shoes because we want anything getting in the way of a true understanding, any limiting belief to be removed. Our feet represents spiritual understanding. And so I love that Moses is this man of faith who comes and has this burning bush experience. Eric Butterworth says in Practical Metaphysics, the dynamic key you see is not faith in God, but faith from God. That's what Moses had gotten to, this faith from God. Faith in God is trying to direct your attention consciously to something outside yourself. Faith from God begins with the basic premise that you live in God, you move in God, you have your being in God. God is the foundation of the ground of your being. You center yourself in that consciousness, and then you believe from that consciousness. You see the difference? Not faith in God, some God out there, but from that God that is within us. That's the faith that we want to develop, that we want to practice. God is centered in each of us. God, in its wholeness, is centered in each of us. But are we centering ourselves in a consciousness of God? Where is the center of our consciousness? Where are we placing our faith? And if we don't center it in God, we can be like Peter and Jonah, who are subject to those storms. Remember, Peter was the one that wanted to walk on water like Jesus. And he got out, and as soon as he took his eyes off the Christ, as soon as he took his eyes off, this focus off of who he was as a spiritual being, all he saw were the storms of his life, and he sank. We too need to stop focusing on the storms of our life and focus on that Christ. Know that everything is working for its highest good, and we don't know why things happen the way they do in this life. We don't know why this pandemic is sweeping across our planet. But we can hold to the faith. We can hold to the vision that this too shall pass. That God is here with us in every circumstance. It's funny, Peter, too, in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, is the one that doesn't believe. His perception is, why should I believe you, Mary? Why should you tell us how to live a spiritual life? You're a mere woman. See how his perception clouded his ability to hear the truth, to hear how to live a life of faith. What perceptions are changing our views of the world? What perception are you using? You know, it's funny, even our own eyes don't see things the way they are. The retina in our eyes sees things upside down in 2D. And somehow our brains turn things right side up and give us 3D perception. Our own brains are telling us seeing is not believing. Seeing is not believing. Believing is seeing. What we believe affects how we see things, affects our perceptions. We're so much more than our physical worlds tell us that we are. Do you have faith in that? Your faith can make you well. It's listed 10 times in the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible in the Christian scriptures. 10 times Jesus says, your faith has made you well. Your faith has made you well. Well, your faith can make you well depending on what you're placing your faith in. So where is your faith? In what are you placing your faith? What beliefs are you holding that need to be released? When I asked myself that yesterday during a run, thinking my teeth, okay, beliefs. What beliefs am I holding that are no longer serving me? What beliefs am I holding that are not supported in truth, not rooted in truth? And very clearly I got an answer, which I often do when I ask a question during a run, during that quiet time, that time of movement where I'm allowing myself to hear, not with ears, not with my physical ears, but ears of my heart. And the answer was, you know, every time you're preparing for a talk, you don't believe in yourself. Okay, I didn't expect that, but you know, isn't it time to let go of that? there's a part of my mind that says, who are you to be preaching? Who are you to be sharing a spiritual message? And as soon as I have that awareness, it always comes on a Saturday, the Saturday before I'm speaking. But as soon as I have that awareness, it's like this big weight was lifted off of me. It was like I was on fire with God. I felt this new confidence. I felt this new energy. And that's what can happen when we come into this awareness of something that needs to be released, something that's no longer serving us. And I noticed that my tooth didn't hurt anymore. And I had the best run yesterday. It was beautiful. You know, maybe it was the Excedrin, but it doesn't matter because I was on fire. I was on fire with new energy. And that's what faith can do. That's what practicing faith and then listening can do. It seemed like a burning bush experience to me. This new sense of awareness, this new sense of love, this new sense of confidence. I watched a docuseries this week on Netflix called Voices of Fire. I think some other people have watched it. And in it, this Bishop Ezekiel Williams has this vision of having a unique, diverse gospel choir. And so somehow they put the word out. He's in Virginia, and they had 3,000 applicants. And they decide that they are only going to audition 300 of them. And from that 300, they want to get down to 75. And so we listened through this series. It's only six parts. It's not a long docuseries. But we see all this talent, and we hear all these testimonials. And one of them is Ilana. She's one of the first ones that auditions, and she's got a beautiful voice. She's 15 years old. And they say to her, "What is your testimonial? What is your testimony?" And she said, "I was born with only one ear." And she's had 6 or 7 surgeries to create the appearance of another ear. So she's singing and learning rhythm and having to tap on her wrist to keep the rhythm with only 50% of her hearing. It's a beautiful testimony that she had faith, that she could do that she could audition, that she could be part of that choir. And then there's another man named Marcus. And Marcus was a big partier when he was real young. And one night he fell in the bathroom while he was partying and hit his neck on the bathtub and woke up in the hospital 4 days later. He had been in a coma. He was paralyzed from the neck down and told he would never walk again. And he was there, and he walked, and he sang, and they asked him to be the opening act. And I'm sorry, I'm giving it away for those of you that haven't seen the show, but it was beautiful to see the confidence grow in these people as they got selected for the choir and as they used their voice and sang together in oneness, in harmony. It's a beautiful documentary series, and I highly recommend it. But that's what faith can do for us. It can give us that confidence. But how do we practice it? Well, Eric Butterworth in Practical Metaphysics says this: to really practice faith, first of all, you start at the ground of your being. Center yourself in the consciousness of this oneness process. Know that the whole universe is pouring itself into you and through you and as you, and out of that consciousness, then you go forth and do the things that you need to do in your life in a believing attitude. Not believing in some intangible, but projecting that faith process which enables you to have faith in yourself, have faith in people, Have faith in experiences and have faith in a divine law that is forever working so that things work together for good. So how do we develop faith? By practicing, taking small steps. When faced with some decision and you can't decide, turn it over to God and practice listening, not with these ears, but with the ears of your heart. Practice listening for the answer. And answers will come to us in many different ways, as a nudge, as a longing, as a intuition, as just a knowing, maybe through other people, many ways. But when we hear it with our heart, we know it. And then we take action on that and we practice and see how things turn out. And that's how we work on developing our faith and building that muscle so that the more we do it, the more we trust it, and the stronger it grows. So I invite you to try it this week. Any decision. Yesterday I took this into, we weren't sure whether to have the outdoor service or not because we didn't have our 20 people. And I took it into meditation just for 5 minutes. And the answer was clear. We're serving people. And we decided to go forward. And this morning we have 23 people signed up. More than our 20 that we needed. So it works. Trust the practice. Trust the guidance that you get. Have faith and make well in your heart. Faith can make you well in your heart. Faith can make you well in your soul. Faith can make you well in your consciousness when you center your consciousness in God. I want to invite us now to spend some time in meditation. So get yourself comfortable and gently close your eyes. Take that deep breath. And I'm going to read from more of Eric Butterworth's Practical Metaphysics. God is centered in you. God is centered in you always. The question is, what is your consciousness centered in? If your thought is centered in materiality, if it's centered in difficulties, if it's centered in the news of the day, if it's centered in the idea, oh my, everything happens to me, and this is going to frustrate the whole flow. God is centered in you. The kingdom of all potentiality is already within you. Positive faith is the key to the kingdom. You don't need to become something different in order to release your imprisoned splendor. Your need is simply to get your consciousness centered in God, centered in the realization that the whole universe believes in you. The whole universe is flowing into you and through you. Your need is to accept it, to let it happen, and to let yourself be directed from that consciousness into a faith-believing attitude. Know that your faith can make you well. And invite you to sit with that for a couple of minutes in the silence.
First, I want to say thank you to Janice for such beautiful music today, and you always blow my mind with just writing something right before. Really incredible. And Sue for an incredible talk and demonstrating faith and vulnerability and just such a great message for today. So thank you so much. And thank you, all of you, for being here, whether you're with us right this second or whether you're watching at a different time. We are here because you allow us to be here, and we do this for you. So we're so glad that you're here today, and we'd love to take this time to do our offertory blessing and take our love offerings, both virtually and not virtually. So we'd love for you to go to our website and press donate either now or later, or use our text to give, mail us a check. We can't do this without you. So
Send us a cow.
Send us a cow? I don't know about a cow. Maybe some Christmas presents.
There you go.
Or cake. So we just thank you so much for everyone's continued support. And these are new times, right? So here we are in this empty sanctuary, but you are here with us, and we can't do this without you. So let's say our offertory blessing together. God's love has always met and will always meet all my needs. I give freely, I receive abundantly, and I am grateful. The demonstration of the flow of prosperity in the universe. So shall we give, shall we receive? So if you are interested in learning more about Columbine, and you maybe want to be on our mailing list, you're new to us, or maybe you're thinking, oh, I really like watching the Sunday service, but I'd love to get more involved and do small groups, those are still available on Zoom, and the website has information about those groups. We have Tuesday night meditation, we have a women's group on Thursdays, we have spiritual groups on Mondays and Tuesdays. There's lots going on. So if you are interested in not being isolated, we have you. So I also am here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays as the Director of Community Care, and you can call me, and I'd love to help you get involved in some way, because we need each other. We got to do this together. So, and you can also go to the website and view past talks. There's a lot there, so go check it out. Okay, what do we have next, Doug? Next is Christmas Eve is a-comin'.
Woo!
I
don't even know how many days away it is.
Don't say it. So Janice, I love Janice because when she started talking about Christmas, it was forever ago, and she was right. It is right here, and I just have to give you props for your never-ending inspiration and dedication. And we're going to do 2 services. We're going to do a candle lighting outdoor safe service at 4:30. People show up around 4 so we can all get situated. And we're going to offer the ability to stay in your cars and listen through FM broadcasts like you can at the outdoor service at 12:30 here. Or you can come out of your car and safely distance from each other on the lawn. We're going to have tea light LED candles. We're going to have singing. We're going to have metaphysical interpretation. And we're going to be able to continue to have our tradition of lighting candles and connecting with each other with that beauty. So that's going to happen. And then at 6, we're going to transform this sanctuary into, as we do every Christmas Eve, a beautiful space, and have the virtual choir will be coming in from all of the work that Janice is doing to do videos for all the work that we're doing for choir, and we'll have some people live singing, and Sue and Scott. And it's going to be a really special Christmas Eve, and we want you to join us for one or both of those services. So we're going to do a registration for the outdoor service, so just be on the lookout in the e-bulletin and the update for that, because we really need to make sure that we're having registration for everything that is here at the church in person. Okay. Next is, you want to shop, so come to the bookstore Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. When I'm here, Pat has done a beautiful job. We have Christmas stuff available. We have great gifts in the gift store, in the bookstore. And you can come in and shop safely with a mask on, or you can call me and I will personally shop for you and do curbside pickup. And Pat might even come in the evenings if you need it in the evening. So please come and help us by supporting Columbine, and help you by buying great gifts.
Awesome.
And Janice, it's your turn.
Speaking of gifts.
Speaking of gifts.
Well, we've got a new project coming out, and it's going to be on Bandcamp. starting next Friday. That's special Fridays on Bandcamp. And it's called Sing, Praise, Chant, and Breathe. And it's a collection of 28 pieces of music, original music that I've written mostly since I've been here, that we use to sing along to for our joy songs, for our meditation chants. There's even some instrumental silent meditations. And it's broken up pretty much into 7 days, so you got about a 10-minute musical meditation each day. And this is going to be available first through Bandcamp online. There's a songbook that goes along with it you can optionally purchase, and 15% of all the proceeds will go to Columbine. George and Larry and singers from our wonderful team were all part of that project, and we think that it would make a wonderful holiday gift for you and yours. So next Friday, we'll start in the morning, and there'll be a link in next week's update and also in our e-bulletin about how you can get on and purchase that project. Sing, Praise, Chant, Breathe.
I love how it's a manifestation of your initial vision when you came here of creating music and having Columbine be a space of music like agape.
Agape,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and you're doing it. So
We're doing it. We're doing it.
another demonstration of manifestation at work. Thanks, Janice. And then we are having our 12:30 service today, as Sue said, so you are welcome to come and join us. We ask if you didn't register to stop in at the sign-up table so that we can get your name. Everybody wears a mask, we're distanced, and it's really fun. It's a very informal, lovely time together. And you can shop at the bookstore after, so we'd hope you come for that. And then lastly, we have Zelloship. So this is a great time for everyone to come together and just visit and catch up afterwards. It starts at 12:15, and the link is in the e-bulletin and in the update and on the website in the calendar. That's it.
Beautiful. Let's stand up and sing.
Let's do.
And then we're going to do a little Christmas carol.
More
Take
Christmas
ourselves
carols.
out. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous path. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God enfolds us.
The light of God surrounds. Let's start over. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is swell.
Yes. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem.
Happy Advent.
See some of you at 12:30.